Like,
shit.
you know what? The market gave us chances to market and mitigate our risk in November. Greed
You
got
bet.
to people there, and fear's getting to them now. You know what I mean?
That's absolutely right. So, all right. Well, I think we're up. We'll wait, see if anybody's tuning in, but we're live now, and yeah, we had a good one last night. We got the March Madness style bracket for the best Western movie of all time.
Oh, damn. That is awesome.
Yeah, so next Thursday we're going to reveal the bracket and the seating and everything, and then we're going to go 1 week per round, put it up as a poll on the Burning Daylight Facebook page.
So cool,
and
man. That is so cool.
Yeah.
What a good idea.
Yeah, so one of our
You come up with
listeners
some
from
fun shit.
yeah, one of our listeners from West Virginia came up with the idea. And so he made a bracket, and we looked through it and kind of picked it apart. And now we're gonna run with it. We're just gonna pick a few different movies, because he just kind of did just real short deal. He took the ones that we've mentioned on our cowboy movies bull session, and then he added like the next highest rated on IMDb. And it wasn't wasn't a bad bracket, but there's some ones that for sure got left off that shouldn't, and there was some on there that nobody had ever heard of. So we're gonna hash it out on Thursday, and then be like a month-long deal.
I want in on that.
Hell yeah.
On that. I got my ideas of who should win, I think, right now, but it's really tough. Like, I got my top 5 to 8, maybe.
Yeah, so we left it just feature-length films. So that means Lonesome Dove is off the list, but we did name it after Lonesome Dove. It's the Cut the Cards Invitational.
I think it's better to leave Lonesome Dove. I love that. I think it's better to leave Lonesome Dove off the list because it's in a league of its own.
It is. It win hands down. But all right, I think we got some people tuning in now. So welcome, Daylight Burners. We got. Oh, it said we're interrupted. Huh. Anyhow, we'll keep rolling with it. We got George back for the weekly cattle market Raftport, and we're all. It's another doozy of a week, ain't it?
It is. It was a doozy of a week, and to end it all, like, I'm just pulling up a chart so I don't say any kind of wrong things, but like one of the better Fridays I've had in a while. Just, I guess, personally, and I think I've kind of felt for the market. Like, on a weekly close on this live cattle August weekly, we're the highest close in over a month. So, like, don't look now. Like Rodney Carrington song, but that I like.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was just there.
You got me there, George. I couldn't hold it. I had got to thinking about Rodney Carrington and his stupid songs. That's so good.
I love that stupid song. But I mean, the reason I think I had a good Friday, we're having decent weather, and there's like a bunch of stuff around that's kind of shitty. But the cattle market actually did act well for a weekly deal on the futures. I mean, we're at $86 June cattle futures. Take that with a grain of salt. But I think they're going to start killing again and kind of grind us through this. It's just like the cattle producers got to feel like a horse caught in wire for a second. Just stand still. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think just stand still. Somebody's going to, not the government's not going to cut us out. I'm not saying that, but I mean, the market's going to work its way through. I think it's like, but it's not going to be great, but look, we showed some great life today.
Oh, I think so. It's I think Trump made a good move with if you listen to the media, he's forcing these packers to stay open against their will, because they just and
making them drink Clorox. and making them drink
Yeah, and
Clorox.
inject it. I tried that one time. It stung a little bit, you know. It wasn't great.
Hey.
I'd give it like a 2 out of 10. Would not recommend.
Yeah, we're not gonna give it any kind of recommendation. I watched one of our close friends take a shot of Clorox one time back in the day. I'm not gonna mention names, but he's still alive.
Probably explains a whole lot about him too.
Exactly.
I've taken a couple of shots of hot sauce before, and that was fine until the next day, and then it was a little painful. But yeah, it's anyhow. I think that declaring.
I just want to interject one time though with one thing, like a guy named Chava that worked for us for a long time, man. Like had a group of little Chava, and he'd say jalapenos, good for the heart, bad for the ass.
That's 100% right. That is words to live by. That is words of wisdom. I'm gonna find a very scenic Western photography picture and just like superimpose that quote on it, and just the most majestic looking old Mexican man you can find. You should actually take a picture of him. Like we'll do it in like black and white. Do a little homage.
Good for the heart, bad for the ass. Or when we're calving heifers, I calved heifers forever with that. Dude taught me a lot. And you get one that hated her calf, and you go, this damn bitch like the dick but don't like the calf.
That's awesome. That's fucking awesome. So anyhow, I guess before we get real derailed, we can do that later. But I think this declaring the Packers critical infrastructure, that they should have never that's I've heard a lot of hooping and hollering and cussing and moaning about the full page ad that Tyson took out in the New York Times, saying that there's probably going to be a protein shortage, which they're right if things continue the way they're going. It's not so much that these guys are shutting down because they want to turn the screws to the cow producer, as a lot of people would like to believe. I just don't see that happen. If they're really making the $1,600 a head or whatever the math is that's floating around there, they would have that chain turned up as fast as it could possibly go.
Records,
because it's making a killing, and they are making a lot of money right now. Mm-hmm. But they're down to one shift in a lot of plants. They're shut down, and a lot of it's due to these damn regulations that come through executive order. And so this, even though it's another executive order, it's declaring them critical infrastructure. It relieves some of the liability on the packer if a worker does get infected and all that good stuff. But it should help them to be able to keep that line moving a little bit. So that's a good thing. And I don't know. What's your it's just been a weird week, and I'm not near into the markets as you are. I just what is your thoughts? Because I don't know what the hell to think anymore.
I don't know. Like today, this week was a weird week as far as like cattle futures go on the board. It was like a great week for just stabilization, but as far as everything else, it's just so crazy. And this is what I see happening, McKinley. The futures, you could have your opinions about it either way, but it broke ahead of this deal. Now it's kind of stabilizing, and so the wreck is coming. I think some ways, and I hope this analogy is right, but this is like people trying to do a lot of this shit is like Paul Revere warning that the British are coming after they came. You know what I mean? It's like, dudes, we're already in this deal. Just like, I don't know what I can tell people. Part of the reason why my day was so enjoyable, because I finally found some stabilization in the futures market. I'm getting into some spring work now, which I enjoy, seeing green grass, moving calves to new deals. And, there's a lot of us don't have cattle to market right now. Well, I feed a lot. We feed cattle. Yeah. So we're in that position. We're in that hellhole as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as far as like on the cow calf side and stuff, and I know there's some droughty spots and everything else, but as far as right now, I think people can find some solace in getting some sweat on their brow, not worry sweat, physical work sweat. So when you're tired, go to sleep. Because I think your emotional decisions right now, and I'm saying you, but I'm talking about me because I do it. I'm human. I mean, every emotional decisions that I made this week has lost me money. Turns out I trade in the futures market, which happens a lot faster. You lose money, but the same emotional decisions will lose you money in the cow calf sector and all the way down the line. Just making, taking a breath, drinking a beer, taking a nap sometimes changes your whole deal.
Absolutely.
Like I think we've tried to make it so. This is me. I'm just going to talk about it personally, how I've rode the ebb and flow of it. And think we've tried to make it so fucking complicated by trying to figure out what is going to happen instead of just like taking care of what we can do. Like I can close that gate that doesn't let that cow get over. I can mitigate risk in a profit scenario if I have any profit, or I can make the decision to mitigate my risk at any time. There's a lot of different stuff you can do that is going to help your bottom line, which matters. Top line doesn't matter. It's what your bottom line is. And these little steps that we've forgotten about because cattle prices have got so high over the past 5 years is something you got to bring it back to. It's like more of our grandparents' generation than our parents' generation. And I dig that because I loved our grandparents' generation. But I mean, we're going through some struggles right now, like they did in World War II. I mean, we're going with struggles because we're locked in. They were in World War II.
Yeah, there were World War II. There was the Great Depression. I mean, like we're nowhere near the Great Depression. Like, if they don't start opening shit back up here, like right now,
we'll be there.
We're gonna be there, but we're not there yet.
No.
And I think you saw a lot of people from an urban area, or I have anyways, start asking about what the fuck is going on with these packing plants, and is there going to be a shortage of beef or meat in general? And the answer is yes. If they don't start allowing people to go back to work, that's the long and short of it. This whole wreck with plants shutting down, that is not a grand scheme, Bilderberg group type deal to just put the cowman out of business. Like I said, there's a lot of shady shit that goes on the packing side of things, just like there's a lot of shady shit that goes on the live cattle side of stuff. That shit happens, but they would like to be running and making money because it's a good time for them right now. And the demand is there. There's more people, cooking steak at home than probably ever in the history of the world right now. And you guarantee you they want to put some steak on people's plates. So like I'm sure I'll get branded as some sort of like apologist for the Packers, but like I don't like them any more than I like the order buyer that tries to slip a couple junk calves in on a load. I don't. It's part of the business.
The rancher who salts his calves before you weigh up the night before. You know what I mean? Trying to get that. They're all different levels, and everybody's been in the same boat. And I guarantee you the cow calf guy loves sticking it to the feedlot guy at 1,400 and so on and so forth. And now the torch is being passed down. It's like boom, boom, boom. Take your whipping. Come on back.
Well, that's the thing, and so like there's a lot of solutions being thrown around, and I think a lot of them, it's all good intention, but the more we're asking the government to step in and intervene, the more we're setting ourselves up for a bigger wreck down the road. It might be a good short-term solution, but I just here's the thing with government: when they take a little bit of power, they don't ever give it back. At least not all the way, and that's the thing. But on that same note, I talked about it last night. I've shared it, but I'm going to talk about it again. Call your representatives. Tell them to get behind Thomas Massie's Prime Act. Then all that's doing is cutting a bunch of the red tape that these small regional and local packers have to jump through to get more product to the stores and to the consumer. It's gonna take some of the pressure off these bigger packers. It's gonna be able to people are gonna it's gonna bring more competition into the market, and that's what everybody's railing about, because there isn't enough competition in the packing market. That is a fact. This will help with that. And so your small local packer could turn into a medium-sized, regional packer pretty quick, if they don't have to jump through a bunch of hoops. So call your representatives, get behind the Prime Act. It's sponsored by Thomas Massie and a Democrat from Maine, I believe. I forget their name. But that's one that people from both sides of the party.
How about that?
And for the first time, this is a good type of bipartisan. Usually when they all can agree on something, they're fucking us extra hard.
Too much money, yeah.
But this, they can get behind that. That's gonna help a lot.
That's the single most important thing going on right now. I mean, I agree. That's the single most important thing. Get more bidders in the market. Quit consolidating this, and don't do it by government mandate. I'm so tired of this. At least that. What is it? Is it representative or congressman? Massie.
He's a rep. He's from like the 2nd district of Kentucky. He was the one guy to stand up and say, "Hey, why don't we put our name on this vote for the stimulus package that we're gonna, put $60,000 worth of debt on every American citizen for?" He was the guy that said, "Hey, you got to at least put your name behind it." And so he got flack from both sides, but the guy is not afraid to stand up, and the guy has great ideas, and this is one of the best ones he's put out in a long time, particularly for our sector of business. I mean, it's an excellent proposal. It's gonna, if it gets pushed through, it is gonna be a huge boost to the beef business, to the cow business,
to the auction
all the local economies around there too. Yeah. I mean, it's
well, look at McKinley,
it's a good one.
Like we have local packing plants here. We have Mountain Meat, who do a lot of work with, and also Brothers Processing, who we do work with. They're ready to grow. Yeah. I mean, and they're killing a lot of cattle and selling a lot of beef. I mean, I went and got a steak last night, cut fresh from the butcher. Beautiful, man. Wrapped in the old paper deal. Like, I want.
Oh, shit, yeah.
This is simplicity, and this is old schoolness. This is like a place that I've always wanted to live. I know it's due to the pain, but I always listen to my grandparents tell stories about the post-World War II era. And that's somewhere I always wanted to be. It was just such a, like, American first, and then just a lot of cool, like, simple, like, have some buddies over, have a barbecue, have the deal. You didn't have to spend $1 million to have an awesome party. You could throw some lambs on the spit and BYOB, and you're good.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've got a story for you, George. I think you'll get a kick out of this one. I'll probably get some flack. I don't give a shit. So, like, you know me, I've been on this direct marketing deal, and I've never
for
said
a long time, McKinley.
Yeah, but I've never said, like, it's, that's how beef is going to be marketed. But I've said that is something you can do right now. It takes a little bit of risk, but, like, it's something you can do to add a little bit of profit back to your herd, or maybe minimize some of your losses. So I saw on one of the RKF live streams, they built this website called usabeef.org. And I was like, fuck yeah, all right. Finally something that one of these cattle associations put forward that I can get behind. And so
I'm already fading
you send them. Yeah. you send your information into them. They post it on the website, so anybody can go to usabeef.org and they can find a local producer. And I was like, all right. One of my buddies from Denver, Tim, I think you've met him before.
Yeah, I think I have, dude.
Tall, goofy looking bastard. He's kind of an asshole, but anyway, we love him anyhow. He called me and asked if how much it'd cost to get a steak from me, and I said I don't have any cattle on feed. I don't, and like my freezer's about to run out. It's it's time to get another one on feed just for the family. But I said I know quite a few people around Denver. I don't know how many ranchers around there are selling direct, but I know a few. So I went over to usabeef.org. Well, guess what? The fucking website didn't work. It did not work. So I checked again the next morning. I checked it. The homepage was up, and as soon as you click on find beef near me, that page didn't work. But you know what pages did work, or what links did work? Their donation page and their membership page. And I was like, this is the cattle business in a fucking nutshell right now.
Right there.
And so I was like, God, I don't know why I expected any different, but and it's not on RKF in particular. It's just that happened to be the example that came across. But that is how all these associations and everything is that's exactly how it's been. Fuck all of that. You got to take care of your own. And on my end, like if you are selling direct, or if you're a small regional local packer, and you'd like to get the word out, tag me in one of your posts. Send me something. I'll share the hell out of it on all my pages.
Or if
I think that's
absolutely. And if you've got fat cattle to sell, give me a call too. I mean, especially in 10, 15. I mean, we got orders for those. That shit's growing all the time.
Yeah.
Not even fat. I mean, just diversify a little bit. There's a lot of cool things going on. We're finally going to get to tie our beef to the consumer, and the consumer to beef like they've always wanted. Cut these organizations out that really don't have a voice for us. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I mean, shit, you can make a song about it on TikTok if you wanted to. But I mean, there's a lot of different. I'm just tired of that. Like, our story is so cool, man, and we're paying a middleman to try to tell it, and he's not telling it wrong. I don't know.
I actually said this to Bill Bullard when I interviewed him. I said, basically, NCBA, RCAF, U.S. Cattlemen's, they are all basically a labor union for the cowman. And of course, I got lectured on the legal definition of a trade association versus a union. But I was like, okay, whatever. That you basically are doing the same thing.
You can remember things good.
And like, you get what I'm saying. They're a very similar type of deal. And just like the labor union served a very important purpose in this country back in the early days of capitalism.
Absolutely.
But they got corrupted, they got bloated, and a TikTok on Holstein handling. I could do that.
Yeah, do that. See? Okay, now we're getting some good ideas, people. That's America.
OJ, I'll work on that. I don't have TikTok, but my wife does. I'll see if she can. I've kind of refused to join it. I'm on everything else, but for whatever reason, I haven't went on TikTok.
Me neither. I haven't, but I just saw a video of a guy lip singing I'm like, what is that? It's like, it was just kind of funny and fun. Or whatever. I was like, all right.
Well, if you go to any of your nurse friends, I'm sure there's about 50 TikTok videos of them dancing here lately.
Exactly. But you're saying, dude, these organizations have got too fat and they're not speaking for the deal. And all of a sudden, dude, the whole world's changing. We're going to work from home a lot more. We're going to, I mean, who knows, schools from home. And we gotta pay a organization now to market what? I can go
Yeah.
live. Yeah, nobody has to watch me. Who knows? Maybe nobody logs in, but I can go live and tell my story at any day of the week, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, and if you find the right way to put your shit out there, you can do just fine. And I know there's been a lot of people that have learned about where their beef comes from listening to this deal. And I think it's important. That's the one area that the cowman has always been lacking is how to relate back to the consumer. Most, I mean, 9 out of 10 people have no fucking clue where the cow comes from. I bet you a lot of people don't even know a steak comes from a cow.
Yeah,
But
I take that bet.
it's so I that's we've got to be relatable, and social media can help with that a bunch. And so I've been pounding the table on that for a long time, and I will continue to do so. It's I
You have
think
been.
the solution to this whole deal, well, there's probably never a perfect solution, but the perfect or the best solution is probably right in front of our faces if you just get a little creative, adapt to the market, and I don't know what that solution is for every individual person,
No.
but there's a lot of stuff that can be done without having to ask Big Daddy government to come in and put down a mandate. Because even if you're like this solution, this 3014 proposal, I like it in principle, but the problem is you've got to get it through Congress. And they're trying to tie it to the continuing resolution spending bill. So there's going to be so many fucking earmarks on it, and it's going to get watered down. And then you still have to expect the goddamn USDA to enforce it. And I just don't have any faith in that. While the proposal sounds okay, when you go to the mechanics of everything that entails, I don't know. I don't see it as the perfect solution that a lot of these guys do. And I don't know. I think you've got to look at your own operation. Stop worrying about the damn packers. Stop worrying about the big feeders. And how do you market your calves? How do you minimize your loss? Where can you cut? What can you do different? How do you get creative to maybe turn a little profit? That is the solution for everybody. Is what can you do different to put you in the best place going forward? It's not the government stepping in and saying you have to sell this many on a negotiated deal.
I hate the government mandate, and I just hate all this stuff right now because I'll tell you what, like I would go back to the days of Caprock. That was a Cargill feeding arm. JBS had Five Rivers, which is now owned by Arcadia. And everybody hated having the feed yard or the Packers own feed yards. Okay. And then so they almost like didn't make Packers. Packers sold them because it was a bad use of capital for them, I think. But everybody was pressuring them so much to do so. I mean, every time something happened, it's like, you can't own the feeder and the cattle. It's against this. All right. But here's the unintended consequence on those. When Caprock come to buy cattle, they come to buy cattle, and same with the Five Rivers. I think they added as much as $10 or $12 to the feeder market as they were, because they got the beef in too. Sometimes they just needed cattle for needs. They'd come in a barn, they'd be strong all over. They had a strong understanding of the business in my opinion, and I think those fading out. And like I said, I might take some slack for that, but I think our feeder market was stronger. And then I think you come back to here to mandating more things. It's just going to if you don't want the packer to have this much margin, then stop doing all this shit, because you're just going to end up locking in his margin. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's going to come a time where the leverage switches and he's going to be losing money and the feeder's going to be making money. But if we're doing all this, quote unquote, solving shit, then say if we tie it to the beef, when the beef finally goes down, the packer gets to lock in his margin right there too, instead of being at a loss where we can be at a gain finally.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know. I'm just having a hard time with all that stuff.
I just, if you look back through history, like everybody knows I'm a pretty big history nerd. But you can learn a lot through history. And every time the government steps in, and whether it's, look at the dairy industry, they put a price floor on milk, and it's just, there's always those unintended consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I don't even know if you can call them unintended, because you can look back through history and see how it all plays out. And the government getting, as OJ says, the packer owns the feedlots when we become just like the pigs and the chicken. But it was government regulation that led to the vertical integration of the hog and the chicken market.
Say, you're right.
Every time you ask them to step in, who has more money than your local chicken farmer or your local hog farmer or your cattle rancher? The packers. They always will have more money. They're a huge deal. They're when they say multinational, they're in most every country in the world running packing plants.
Yep.
They've got a lot of money and they got a lot of influence. So even if you get something passed, yeah, it's go ahead.
What I'd say to OJ is, like, I don't think it's the Packers owning the feedlots that made into the pork deal. I think it was the tie out to the pork index that made it that way. Just like they're proposing to the cattle right now. I think that's what made it that way. The tie into the pork index and everybody locking in their cattle to the packer. That's a great game for the packer too. Okay, I don't have to feed these things. I don't have to put a bunch of capital into buying them, feeding them for 6 months. I can just buy them, trade them into beef, and own them for 4 days. Fantastic. Thanks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't disagree with a lot of points. I just think that a lot, like what you're saying, every time we step in to help, the unintended consequences cause more harm than anything.
Yeah. Well, and I guess the biggest part of it that's been so discouraging for me is the Western rancher, and that's not to throw any slight to the Eastern ranchers. You got a hard job too, but the vast majority of the cattle come from west of the Mississippi. So I'm just saying the Western rancher's always been known to be the guy that's pushing to the frontier. He's trying to get away from people. He's making his own deal. And you know what? All of our ancestors here in the cattle business, they made a choice that, this life is not very glamorous. You're bound to not make a whole lot of money, but it's an important job. There's a good reason we do it, and that's to feed people. And there's a good reason we raise cattle the way we do, because it's the right way. And they had to get creative. Think of the ranchers during the 30s. It's or even before then. When you had to trail your cattle hundreds of miles to a railhead. You had to adapt along the way. And now I just hear a whole lot of somebody's got to do something. Well, you do something for your herd, for your operation that makes sense for you. Don't expect the government to come in to make it all right, because they can't. You cannot centrally plan an economy, especially one the size of the United States, or even on a smaller scale, the beef and cattle industry. There is nobody in Washington that understands the full ins and outs of this industry well enough to plan it. There's not me, there's not you, there's not anybody in this industry that understands it in and out from top to bottom to be able to plan it. So you can't plan it. You have to plan for your outfit, and that's it. Like, you have to worry about yours and let the other chips fall where they may. But get creative and make it work for you.
Like one of my favorite, one of my favorite quotes from my yaya, my grandma, passed down through me through my dad. He was saying that a guy, and it's probably from the Bible or something. I don't know. I'm not even going to get churchy here, but I just like the concept of this. A guy was drowning in the ocean, and he asked God, "God save me! I'm drowning." And God says, "Move your arms." You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. And and it's not to make light of anybody's situation. It's tough out there. We know it.
For everybody.
There's a lot of people that may not make it out of this, and I don't got anything good to say to you, but asking the government to come step in ain't going to solve it either. So that's why I say you got to do what's right for yours, and do what you can do what you can control, because you can't control what the market's going to do. You can't control what the government's going to do. And, it's just, you gotta do what's right for you, and don't expect anybody else to come in and make it better. Those packers are not just going to start giving you more money because it's the right thing to do. That's just not how the fucking world works.
Yeah.
So
put yourself in their shoes. That's what I want to say. You know what I mean? Put yourself in their shoes, see what you do. I mean, I know how a lot of people react in the same way, because, the Packers looking at the same uncertainties down the road as well. He knows his margin's not going to stay that way forever. And now, especially if this Prime Act comes through, it'll be the best thing ever, because he'll have to start to compete if some of these regionals grow. Let that Prime Act go through. Less regulations instead of more. I mean, that's the other beautiful part of this. Everything that everybody's promoting so far is more regulation. I mean, I'm so damn confused right now what I don't even know what the hell they're going after.
It's if it ends in one thing, it's another. And like I said, this is what you guys know me by now. I don't support much of any proposal from the government. This one I can get behind because it's scaling back regulation, and it's going to let those smaller regional local fellas, maybe they're going to be able to expand. They're going to be able to add a second shift or something, or maybe they go from killing 3 days a week to 4 days a week. You never know. But I guarantee you, vast majority of those fellas ain't going to be buying cattle on a formula basis. They're going to be bidding cash. That's going to cause some of these packers to have to come in and actually bid for some cattle. And that's a good thing. That's what we're all looking for. That's what everybody's looking for, is a more competitive market. The Prime Act will help lead to that. So get behind it. Call your representative. Call your senator. Like, burn down those phone lines. Everybody's quarantined. We know you ain't got anything to do unless you're an essential worker. Yeah. But even if you are an essential worker, tag them. Tag them. It's
make a funny face Snapchat.
Yeah, exactly. Get after it. Let them know that this is a big deal, and it's something everybody should get behind. And if the big packers oppose it, guess what? They're gonna look like a bunch of assholes that they are. So that's a good thing too if they oppose it, because it's gonna make them look like a bunch of fuckheads. It's not gonna be a good look from a publicity standpoint. So, like this. Call your representatives. Tell them to get behind this one. This is a good one.
This is the one we'll promote. That's the one common sense solution
to
this whole deal. And then
it
let
really
the
is.
others lie where they may. I mean, all this other stuff, the complications in getting this through is unreal. Then you come with something like the Prime Act, which I don't know this Massie fella, but I really like him already, because I like this this process here. This is exactly what needs to happen.
Well, he is the most libertarian leading member of Congress right now. And there's one of my good listeners, Doug Weissman. He's from Massey's district in Kentucky, and he also has Rand Paul as a senator. So he is spoiled as a motherfucker as far as elected leaders go. None of us are that lucky, but Thomas
Side.
Massey's a good common sense fella. He's a very smart guy. He also happens to run cattle himself, so he knows the struggle. And this is a good proposal he's putting forward. So call your reps, tell them get behind it, demand they get behind it. They work for you. Remember that.
Yeah. And this is the one to get behind. Honestly, this is the one single solution to this whole deal. And then give it some time to work. Give these regionals, get it passed through, then give it time to work.
Yeah.
That's the
and
other
you watch
thing.
those local economies come to life. Because if people are actually wanting to work, those jobs will be there. And you know, when you can develop a skill boning out a carcass, that's, you know, that's not a job that you can just put anybody to do, unless you're willing to waste a ton of meat. So like once those people learn those skills, those become pretty good paying jobs. And you know, it's this could be a huge boom to the rural economy. And you know, it's gonna be good on the producer end too.
Huge on the producer end as well, like you said.
Yeah. And so I don't know, like, you know, we didn't talk a whole lot of prices and whatnot, but and you guys didn't have a sale this week, but you got one coming up Wednesday. And you know, the market is what it is. I mean,
yeah,
it sucks. That's about all you can say about it. But
you know, like I said, today in the futures and this whole week was a really pretty good week. I'm not saying the deal's over, but it just supports more of my point that we've been saying the last couple of weeks. There are gonna be chances where you can market your cattle and make some money this year. And maybe because price doesn't dictate profit margin. Yeah. And you might be surprised at how concentrated you are on your cost because how shitty you think the market is. And then you get a chance to really market your calves at a decent level, but you pulled costs down. All of a sudden at the end of the year, you might have sold your calves for 15% lower, but your profit margin is 8-10% higher, and that's all that matters. I mean, I know there's going to be chances to market cattle here. It's just you can't let greed get in your way, and then you can't let fear get in your way when we get down to this. And these are all way easier said than done. I mean, I let both of them get in my way, you know, and been scoring for it. So, but I think that's where we're at. I mean, get to a point and maybe it's not the best, but sell it. And even if the market keeps going up, if you're comfortable with your sell or your price point, be comfortable with that. You know what I mean? You're never going to get the top. You're never going to get it by the bottom, but we're going to get our chances in here.
Yeah. It's, like I said, we've been saying for a while, you got to get creative. You got to make it work for you. And don't worry about all the extra bullshit. You know, just remember it sucks. It sucks for everybody right now. So
yeah, we're all in this together.
Yeah, exactly.
Just roll.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, what's your front runner for best Western movie of all time?
This is gonna be fun because I've been thinking about this a lot. And the Lonesome Dove is out. Hell, has been a huge Western fan, and John Wayne's my number. John Wayne is kind of my go-to at all times. So I'm gonna go. I think I could almost make a top 5, but my number 1 right now, god dang, is John Wayne the Cowboys, followed closely by John Wayne McClintock at a number 2.
That's a solid one too. I gotta say the Cowboys is I think it'll definitely make my top 4. I don't know what it'll make. I don't know how everybody else is gonna vote, but that is a very it's right up there as my favorite Western of all time. just because it's got everything. It can be a kids movie, can be a grown up movie. It's got you got cowboy action, you got the outlaw, you've you got the coming of age shit. It's got everything, and it's got John Wayne. And it's the first movie where John Wayne ever died too. So it's got all
that hits me hard. And I mean,
oh,
I love when old Clyde Potter, when they're on old Crazy Alice and Clyde Potter gets bucked off and they go, "What's your name?" He goes, "Clyde Potter." And he goes, "Everybody calls me Fats." He's a little tender toward the gut myself.
I just, my favorite line, other than slap some bacon on a biscuit and get a move on, we're burning daylight. That's obviously my favorite, probably Western quote of all time. But other than that, the best quote of that movie is when Will Anderson and Nightling are watching them drink the whiskey, and old Fat's talking about the hoochie coo he saw, and old Will Anderson says, "Yeah, I think it was the same one I saw."
Doesn't they ride? He goes, they're riding him and Slim. The Fats are riding it with the leg over.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, remember? And he goes, and me and my cousin went over to wherever, and there was a hoochie coo show going on. And we opened up the covers, snuck in when that guy was looking. There's a lady that was dancing. Pretty much, she was naked. What'd you see? Well, she had a belly button so big you could stick your middle finger in it.
I think I saw the same hoochie coo show. So good.
Those are, I mean, John Wayne's a classic. Everybody should grow up watching those movies.
Well, we're gonna pound out the bracket, or we're gonna do selection Thursday for the bull session. We're gonna have a comedic western. So you got, of course, Blazing Saddles. You got Back to the Future 3. You got Cowboy Way, and you got City Slickers in that region.
Could McClintock be counted in that? McClintock is pretty funny.
I think probably so. I think I might throw it in that. And then we're gonna have like modern westerns, and then the other two regions, category. I think those are gonna be the two toughest categories: the comedics and the moderns. But they've been like, Tarantino came out with Hateful Eight and Django Unchained, so there's some heaters, and then you got The Revenant. There's some heaters in the modern.
It's a bracket. Totally different western in the modern, I think.
Yeah. I think so. And then like you've got like the new 310 to Yuma, which was excellent. I loved that. There's a lot of movies where I want to go buy a gun after, but after 310 to Yuma, I just wanted to go buy a pair of Schofield revolvers, because that is the coolest fucking thing, the break action revolver.
Where you can just pop out your user.
Yeah. And howdy, Pinkerton. I hate Pinkertons.
See, that is one of the better newer westerns, honestly.
Yeah, that was a good one. So it's gonna be a fun month on the Burning Daylight page.
The Missouri?
I'm gonna talk shit.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna have Missouri breaks on there.
Okay, good. Because that's in my top 5.
It's a good one. So we're gonna, like, every time I post the matchup, so we're gonna do a poll for each matchup. It'll be up for a week, and I'm gonna talk shit on the on the movie that I want to lose, even though I might love that movie. I'm gonna talk shit so much.
It's gamesmanship.
Oh yeah, so it's gonna be a good time on the Burning Daylight page.
Are the Sackets on there? The movie, the Sackett, or what the Shadow Riders? The Shadow Riders.
I am going to pound the table for Shadow Riders. Sackets, we mentioned it. It hasn't made. It's on the. It's gotta earn it. So we're gonna debate this whole deal. But I think we can all agree that probably Blazing Saddles will be the 1 seed on the comedic bracket.
Are you doing an
You know,
overall bracket too, or just a different category bracket?
Well, it's going to be March Madness style.
Okay.
So
So you got like the East, West. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to have the moderns, the 16 of the moderns, 16 of the comedic, and then the other 2 regions probably just be we might do like from like before 1960 and then like from 1960 to say 1995 or so. That would be, I'd say after 95 would be the modern. So like Tombstone would fall in that category.
Okay, so Tombstone definitely number 1 modern in my mind. Because
I think you're right.
Well, maybe not number 1, but it's gotta be debatable 1 or 2.
Yeah, exactly. And so then like your classic Western era, so like say 60 to 90, then you've got all of John Wayne's basically and all of Clint Eastwood's. So do you go True Grit or do you go High Plains Drifter? Do you go Rio Bravo? Do you go Good, the Bad, and the Ugly? Who knows for that one?
Well, here's the deal too, because the other thing is, and I mean, I'm just throwing shit to the wall, but you're kind of like that old school bracket is really locked up with a bunch of toughs, where I think some of like the comedic and the new ones are easy ins. Like if you put some of those old ones in the early brackets with some of those newer ones, I mean, I don't know how that would face up, but I think the 1960 to 1990 bracket is a snake pit. I mean, that's tough.
Oh, it's like the SEC football, It's it's a
that's
trap. The SEC. Every week's a trap.
It is.
Yeah, it's and then you've got like the comedic bracket where Blazing Saddles is basically the New England Patriots. They're just gonna win everything there.
I know. Blazing Saddles are going all the way.
It's not even taken away from the rest of them. Like McClintock's a great, great kind of comedic Western. I'd still say on a comedic scale, Blazing Saddles beats it out.
Yep, it's a 1-2 right there, in my opinion, the comedic scale. Or
I think so.
You know what's a funny? God, what the hell is this? It's with Brian Keith, and they trail 1 steer. Him and his hand trail 1 steer on a cattle drive. Hold on, I gotta think of this. What the hell? It's Casey Adams. He's the one who told me about it, and it is freaking funny.
Huh. I haven't seen that one. I'll have to. Yeah, it's gonna be a heater of a tournament. I'm looking forward to it. There's just so much good stuff there.
I know. God, why can't I find this movie? Now I feel like an idiot, but I'll find it. I'll post it. It is funny.
Oh, by the way, this episode has been brought to you by Loma Livestock. Loma Livestock got a bi-weekly cattle sale on Wednesdays, starting at 10 o'clock with cows and singles, followed by the feeders around 11. Give them a holler at 970-858-9988, or you can check them out online at lomalivestock.com, and also you can watch at dvauction.com every other Wednesday.
Outstanding. Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to have you guys there, and thank you, McKinley, for that pop.
You bet.
Just come on and call us at any time. Hell, you can even call me on my cell at 970-326-8621. Text me, actually.
That's a way better idea to text him. This fucker never answers his phone.
It's true. I'm a fucker that never answers.
It's all right, though. Well, George, it's been a good one. Always a good one. I've been enjoying these are fun. Weekly deals.
These are fun. I like these a lot.
Yeah. We cut through all the bullshit on the cattle market. We just tell you what's up.
Yeah, that's it. We don't have time for the bullshit.
That's right. We got time for our own bullshit, just not the cattle market bullshit.
Exactly. We got important shit to talk about.
That's right. Well,
Westerns.
Go follow Loma Livestock on Facebook and Instagram. And go to a sale on this Wednesday. Go check them out. Buy some cattle, sell some cattle. Go watch some cattle sell.
It's fun.
Yeah, for sure. Go check them out. It's dvauction.com. Click on the Loma Livestock tab. And yeah, we'll be here next Friday. Oh, we're still working on this
On our
scheduling
timing.
deal. It's you know what,
That was
we've
my
never
bad
been
today,
good on
folks.
timing.
Yeah.
It was my bad last week. So it's we're not good on the timing, but we will be doing it every week, hopefully on Fridays.
That's for sure.
That's the plan. If not, we'll get you on Saturday. But either way, we will be doing it every week.
Yeah.
And so make sure you
hope
tune
you guys
in.
watch. Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, live stream Friday. Audio podcast will be up on Saturday. So that's it for us. Sign us off, buddy, if you don't mind.
Well, there ain't no more daylight to burn, but if we don't move, we're going to be burning daylight on the next day. So let's get going.
Let's do it. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.